Okay. Sorry, checking everything, making sure we're going live to the right scene. Okay. I think we got it. Good evening. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Oh, okay. What am I doing? Where am I at? Alright. Making sure I've got all the screens up in the places where I need the screens so we can do some more mini painting tonight. So, a little update. I got a new toy, and so you can kind of see some stuff going on my desk down here. I got an airbrush, and I've been messing around with it, trying to figure it out. I have a ways to go. There's a bit of a learning curve on it, but I just wanted to, airbrush a couple pieces before we get into the sarcophagus, which is the main thing that we're going to be working on for a little while, or for tonight, because over the next week I will be painting a miniature for a contest. If you would like to see that mini, it is on my Discord, which my Discord link is on my Twitch page, which is scrolling across the bottom of my screen if you're watching on TikTok. On the About Me tab on Discord, you can, on the About Me tab on Twitch, the bar that says Discord is a permanent Discord link to join the Discord server. But that being said, we're going to do a couple pieces just with the airbrush here. Just getting them painted up, base coated, painted up, so we can start doing more in-depth painting on them as time goes on. I definitely have a ways to go in learning the skill of airbrushing. But this is a cheap Harbor Freight airbrush, just so I can try and get the basics down. So I know obviously this is not a high dollar super fancy airbrush, but it is something to use and try out. Hello child, I see you on my TikTok. But yes, trying out an airbrush for the first time. Well, not for the first time tonight. I painted a little bit with it just to try it out, and then did a bunch of much needed paintbrush maintenance. Changed to Twitch, easier to use. Well, I need the viewers on Twitch so I can get affiliate. So thank you. And how are you doing this evening? Alright, I guess. Well, that's what you get for doing goofy things and hurting your ankle. So what exactly did you do? So the airbrush seems to be working fairly well. I mean, I can see paint going on the middle, or model, not middle. And it did help me get into some little nooks and crannies on the sarcophagus for when I get to painting that after a little bit. But we need to wait for these to dry a little bit so I can flip them over and paint the fronts of them. Just need to get the backside done so I don't mess up the front flipping it over and putting it on sticky tack. But yeah, I just wanted to, show off that I got an airbrush and I'm trying to figure that out. And stuff, and then we'll get back into getting all this figured out. I'm guessing your message was too long. Darn it. More. Really? Why won't you let me see the message? Okay, I can turn around and look. There's a 3-foot brick wall in Mom's backyard because the ground had been leveled. 3-foot brick wall I jumped off like I have for the past 10 years. Got it caught and slid and landed on my ankle. Well, why'd you do that? See, that's what happens as you get older. You start to get clumsy. I mean, you have a long ways to go before you get old, but you get a little clumsy, and then you can't jump off things the way you used to when you were younger, and you end up falling and hurting yourself. Sorry. Needed to get a drink. Yeah, I need to ease up the restrictions on Twitch chat a little bit for longer messages, because I'm sure that's very annoying. You're trying to explain something and Twitch auto bans your message due to the settings. Okay. So we're gonna flip this around. If I had to do some touch-up painting on the backside, it is what it is. But for the most part, that stuff won't be seen. But yeah, we're just trying to get these shoulder pads base coated with the Abaddon black. Airbrush works very well, get a nice smooth paint finish. But the days I've been off, I've been farting around my bike trying to get to work. Well, you shouldn't have bought a motorcycle that didn't work. That's your own fault. I warned you about such a prospect. And now your brother's trying to drive out of state to go buy a broken down car. Like, what are you guys doing? I'm having fun enjoying myself. We're going Domino's Pizza Delivery Mac. I mean, sure. I didn't know Domino's Pizza was making delivery Macs. But definitely different color scheme than Domino's. But that's the box art. So that's what I put on screen. because I don't actually play blueberries. I don't actually play anything at the moment. But eventually, you look similar to this gentleman right here, ready for battle. Somewhere around here I have the legs. They're done. Oh, they're all the way across the room. So if you go to my Twitch page, there's a permanent Discord link in the About Me tab that you can see progress pictures. Or if you're on TikTok, scroll through some of my older videos and you'll be able to see the progress I've gotten on this model in the TikTok videos. But those are pretty well coated, so just because I wanted to showcase the airbrush a little bit as I'm experimenting with it and learning it. So go ahead and dump this back out. And we will get to painting the Mini again. But my desk has once again become a massively cluttered mess. Ugh. So real quick, because you can't leave paint in your airbrush, we're going to clean this out real quick. And the quickest way I've found to do that is to go ahead and throw some rubbing alcohol in there and a little cleaner pot. And just start getting that excess paint out of the brush. Fortunately, it doesn't take too terribly long. Yeah, I need to take the stink off my butt into the shower. Well, have fun in the shower, child. Alright. I'm sure you will. Hey McCraig, how you doing tonight? Thank you for the likes. Appreciate it. Just trying out some new things. Bought an airbrush and I'm trying to figure out how it works. I mean, I've done decent with it, you know, just base coating some stuff, but there's definitely a little bit of a learning curve to it. So hopefully it is a tool I can add to my future painting endeavors. But right now I'm trying to clean it out because I'm not going to be using it that much tonight because I need to work on the dreadnought. Starting with the sarcophagus tonight because I will be taking a little bit of a break from the Dreadnought because I'll be participating in a miniature painting contest at a local game store over the next week. I pick up my mini for that on Sunday. If you are watching TikTok in full screen mode, my Twitch address is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. If you head over to my Twitch page, there is a permanent Discord link on my Twitch page. So you can go over there, join Discord, share projects that you're working on, and the mini that I'll be painting for the contest is posted on Discord. In the work in progress section, as it will be a work in progress starting Sunday night. I say starting Sunday night, but it will actually be Tuesday before I start painting it. I'm gonna be going through a lot of paper towels with this airbrush endeavor. But they say as soon as you're done using it, doesn't matter how long you use it for, you have to clean it. So I'm trying to get the airbrush clean real quick, and then we can start our normal painting adventures. Like I say, we're going to be working on the Dreadnought sarcophagus tonight. I have a long way to go on this mini, but I'm very happy with how the parts of it have turned out so far. Especially the decals. I don't know how many decals I'm going to be using on the torso, but the ones I picked out for the knees look pretty good. Like I said, I'm very happy with how it's turned out so far. Okay, almost done cleaning the airbrush. Just need to blast the rest of this alcohol out of it, and we'll get right into painting on this piece right here. Almost there. Okay, airbrush is officially clean. I'll do a little bit more in-depth later this evening when I'm washing all my brushes. Let's see here. I think I'm gonna start, and I know it's really hard to see, but there's all sorts of tubes and hoses and things coming into the sides of the sarcophagus that I'm going to start working on once I clear some space and get my wet palette over here where it's supposed to be, because I am completely disorganized and my office is currently a massive mess. Thank you for the follow, Fancy Paints. Much appreciated. Sorry, I'm still getting used to what all the little TikTok noises are. So I get a little confused sometimes when I hear something go beep or ding or whatever. I have all sorts of notifications set up on Twitch that I never hear as well, because nobody watches me. It's fine. I joke around. Won't they get covered by the front plate? Yes, they will, for the most part. But if you have put the mini together properly, this will still open up and you'll still be able to look in there and see. So even with this, try not to break the ribbon off the back, but even with it all the way pushed in there, you can still see the tops of some of the hoses and whatnot. So I want to get them painted, and then you can still open up the front of the sarcophagus and see everything. So I'll just snap that back apart real quick. And I will use my incredible paint mixer real quick to mix up the white scar paint, because I'm planning on doing some washes. And pardon the noise, I use a muscle gun to mix my paint sometimes, especially my whites. So, sorry for the obnoxious noise. But some people have those like vortex mixers and stuff. You know, I'm not made of money, so I find cheap alternatives. So we're going to get some of this white scar out of the paint pot onto our wet palette. And very carefully paint some of those tubes and hoses. I like Citadel paints, but sometimes they're like a little thick in the pot. So definitely have to thin them out. And I don't have my paper towel ready yet. Wow, thank you for all the likes. We're already up to 2.3 thousand. Much appreciated. I don't know why people, come in here and watch me sometimes, but hey, I do enjoy the conversation and talking to people, see what projects other people are working on at the time. Said I am very intently working on this dreadnought, as I've never painted a dreadnought before, and the Brutalis variant just looks very cool, and I think it works very well thematically for a Black Templar army. So that is what we're going with. And while I was off screen over the last couple of days, I was definitely taking care of some much needed, much neglected brush maintenance. And so all of my brushes are freshly cleaned with plenty of brush soap and ready to go. I was having a little bit of difficulty getting into all the little nooks and crannies around these hoses and cables, so I ended up using the airbrush to spray down in here to make sure everything was very well base coated. Because if you don't have a good base coat of color, everything else doesn't stand out very nice. And I need to scoot closer so you guys can see what I'm doing as I hold this very close to my face. And remember, thin your paints down. And there's a couple of these thicker tubes that I'm going to use some bright contrast paints on. So I'm doing a white base coat over the black in here. so the colors pop a little bit more. But very tedious, very time-consuming work. And hopefully the final result will make it all worth it. So we've got several of these little tubes and hoses that are a larger size that I want to do kind of brightly colored, somewhat glowing-ish with contrast paints. I've got a bright green, a bright blue, and a red that I want to use on these. And hopefully what happens on the mini is what is happening in my head. For these particular spots. But to get them the way I want them, I must do the tedious work of painting them white. And of course, being very careful and making sure our paint is nice and thin to get a smooth, even coat. And we'll probably take a couple of coats to cover this black up. This might be the more risky approach to things, doing the bright colored stuff and then painting around it. Hey Scorched Earth, how's it going? I am doing all right. Working on the Dreadnought. Because thank you for the follow, Scorched Earth. Appreciate it. Working on this Brutalis Dreadnought, trying to get a little bit extra work done tonight. Because next week when I'm live painting, I will be working on a completely different model, or mini, for a contest at a local game store. If you're on Twitch or watching on TikTok and you want to head over to my Twitch page, in the About Me section, there's a tab marked Discord. That tab that's marked Discord is actually a permanent link to my Discord channel, or server, whatever you want to call it, to where you can hop in, see stuff that my viewers have done, minis that I've done. Oh yeah, he asked me what it'd been a while since Josh was on, and so when I saw he went live tonight, I hopped over there for a while. I was like, oh hey, how are you doing? And he asked what I was working on. Of course, I'm still working on this, Brutalis Dreadnought, because I'm painting it to a ridiculous level of detail, and it's taking me forever. And so, yeah, like I said, there's a permanent link over there. It's very small. Not a lot of people are in there yet. But like there's pages for finished minis, work in progress minis. If you got any other projects that you're working on, like you're making music or drawing pictures or anything like that, there's another channel in that. I need to get much better about doing announcements over there, like when I'm not streaming, so people know. They're like, "Hey, Dune, it's Tuesday night. Where the hell are you at?" It's like, sorry, something came up. Yeah, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays are my hobby time, where I'm painting minis, and then Monday nights I play D&D with a group of friends, and so that's only on Twitch and YouTube. I just haven't found a good way to get it over on TikTok, because it's a full screen thing. Definitely understand, appreciate that. Well, we talked before and seen your work through Dutch stuff, and I enjoy your work. I'm happy to join. Well, I mean, I appreciate it. The more people that come in and share stuff, the more there is for people to look at. I'm sure remembering right that you're in Vegas. No, I'm not in Vegas. I am in flyover country in Kansas. Right smack dab in the middle of the U.S. Uh-oh. Trying to think of who I've talked to online that was from Vegas. I'm sure there's someone. But no, we're right here in, windswept, dusty Kansas. I've gotten away from it a few times, but I always seem to end up back here, so it's all good. It works out. I'm trying to get a good solid white base coat on some of these parts that I'm going to be using some contrast paints on as I work through this mini. And I'm sure some of this I will end up having to repaint like 57 times as I get paint blobs and splotches right where I don't want them. I got you. Southern Utah, still new to the hobby and very much appreciate learning from people at your skill level. My skill level is I am an average painter. I will say that every single time. Like, maybe I'm just overly humble. I don't know. But I think I'm very average when it comes to my painting ability. But I enjoy it, and I enjoy, spending a little bit of extra time here and there, trying to make things look a little extra fancy. But it's like, and I know, like when, hold on, I got people talking to me on multiple platforms, but it's like, I know on this mini, there are all sorts of mistakes that no one is ever going to see, but every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I got too much paint on the tabard, and I messed something else up over here, or got a little crazy with the Agrax Earthshade. Let's see, Mr. Palmerman, unfortunately I think you already took off, but just started first set, Heavy Intercessors and Captain. Cool. And Berserker Empire. It's going all right. That's how it is. Sorry, I'm live on multiple platforms. Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube specifically. So I'm sorry if I miss your message. I will try and get to it. But occasionally I get overwhelmed with, multiple chats going on. But I will try and get back to your message. if you please just be patient with me. Like I said, I'm just doing some quick white work on some of these parts because I want them to show up brighter, and painting bright colors over black can be somewhat problematic. Your Twitch keeps crashing. Yeah, I don't know what it is with Twitch. It doesn't seem to be the most stable platform all the time, which is one of the reasons why I also stream on TikTok, which is really frustrating. How far am I on the Dreadnought? I've got the legs done. I just started on the sarcophagus section. I got an airbrush recently, so I was playing with it and just kind of base coating some pieces real quick. But the legs are finished. There is a short video on TikTok of the finished legs. And if you head over to Twitch and follow me over there, well, you don't really have to follow me over on Twitch, but over on Twitch, in the About Me tab, there is a permanent link to my Discord server. So if you want to follow me over there, or go take a look at that and post whatever you're working on in the Discord. I've met a few people through that. There's a very talented painter, Complicated Gaming, I believe is the name. I'd have to look, but I'm not in my Discord server right now. Well, maybe I am. Let me look at another screen. Too much junk on my desk. Okay. Well, that's work in progress. Yes, Complicated Gaming. Well, welcome to the Discord. Take a look at some of the stuff. Disable that so I can see people's names. Yes, Complicated Gaming has a bunch of really cool Sisters of Battle minis that he's worked on and posted. Oh, no problem. It's an open invite to anyone who just subscribed to my YouTube. Thank you, Berserker. Appreciate that. I'm live over there. If you're interested in Dungeons and Dragons, we do Dungeons and Dragons Monday night. That goes to Twitch and YouTube. So another thing to watch over there. But like I said, unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to get it to work for TikTok. Unless TikTok finally comes up with a way to give me a stream key that I can use with OBS. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but maybe one of these days. I'll get a stream key for TikTok and have everything running through OBS, and that would be very nice. But I think that's it for our tubes and hoses. Maybe go a little bit farther back on this one. I think I can see it. Okay. So with that on there, let's make some fancy looking glowy tube things. So I've got, make sure I'm using the right one. Frost Heart. And some Hexwrath Flame. some Blood Angels Red that I'm going to be doing some quick contrast painting with. And I say quick, this does take a little while sometimes. But let me get this shook up. And the contrast paints, sometimes they settle quite a bit at the bottom, so they take a little bit of extra shaking. But yeah, the Discord is open to anybody who wants to join and share projects that they're working on. It's always neat to see what everyone else is doing. All right. So with the frost heart here, we're going to dab some of this on this first tube. It's probably going to take a couple rounds. To get the effect that we're going for. So we'll dab a little on, let it dry a little bit, dab a little on, let it dry. We're trying to get kind of a nice bluish glow going in there. But also trying not to oversaturate the parts around it. Any tips? Love the lore of all legions. Have a bunch of figs, just can't ever find the time to paint. Was thinking of painting Templars. Just start painting and practice. That's the best tip I can give. Be patient. All these minis do take a bit of a time investment. I mean, if you're just wanting to get some tabletop ready, slap the minis together, spray paint them black, do a little gold or copper or something, or white on the chest. Let's see here. So like quick, easy, down and dirty. Like for a super fast paint job that's tabletop ready, spray paint it black, get a little bit of red for the eyes and your gun and chainsword, your oh my god, what are the purity seals or crusade seals, since we're Templars. Some paint for the chest emblem, and then just very carefully, like with a lighter gray, edge highlight around it, and it's tabletop ready. Just 3 or 4 different colors of paint, and it's ready to play with. Now these guys, I go into way more depth. I go a little bit overboard on the painting. So you'll see silver, bronze, gold, red, black, multiple edge highlights. These guys take a while if you do it to like this level of detail. If you're wanting like this exact color scheme, you can look up a YouTube video, How to Paint Black Templars by Duncan Rhodes. It's his paint scheme that I'm using. I just thought it looked amazing. So I emulated it and have taken my time painstakingly dotting little bits of paint on pieces of plastic for hours and hours to make my Templars look similar to his. But there we go. We've got some of the blue kind of glowy tubes in there. What is my favorite Legion? Honestly, I have no idea. I just for the models, the Black Templar models look incredible. Like High Marshal Helbrecht is an awesome mini. The Emperor's Champion is an awesome mini. The Sword Brethren, Grimaldus, they have some of the coolest minis. Lore wise, I haven't had enough time to dive into every bit of lore that's out there. But I do like a lot of the lore around the Necrons, the lore around the Orcs. The Orcs are just crazy. They're so much fun. Hearing about like the wild antics that they get into. So definitely humored by Orc humor. Necrons is what I used to play in 5th edition. So I've got a bunch of old 5th edition Necron minis. They have some cool characters like Trazen the Infinite is an absolutely hilarious character to read about. But I mean, that's the Otherwise, Legion 20, Aloha and Omega. I'm sure you meant Alpha and Omega. Alpharius and Omegon, I believe. But, I mean, at the same time, the Templars have, like Sigismund, who, like, the lore behind Sigismund is just awesome. But yeah, Templars have a lot of really cool lore. But like I said, in my opinion, they've got some of the absolute best looking minis. So that is who I went with painting. I'll probably have to grunge these tubes up a little bit. Looking very patriotic in that sarcophagus right now. Got the red, white, and blue, baby. Guess I'm wearing an appropriate shirt tonight that, of course, you can't see right now. I could tell some of these details down in here are going to be a massive pain to deal with. But making some progress in there. But yeah, I'm just kind of, experimenting as I go, just seeing what happens with painting these things. And I know, like, the minis are supposed to be more dark and gritty and grimy, but are you talking about Templar Primarch yet? They're actually, in the new Fulgrim novel, they did mention Rogel Dorn, who is the Primarch of the Imperial Fists, who is the first founding, and the Templars are a second founding of the Imperial Fists. So we share the same Primarch. Although, if you know some of the lore, I'd be a little concerned about Rogel Dorn coming back, because he was less than pleased with Sigismund, who is regarded as the first Black Templar and the first Emperor's champion. That Sigismund viewed the Emperor as a god, which goes against what the Emperor wanted and what the Primarch stood for. So Rogel Dorn essentially disowned Sigismund, and so there was a bit of a rift. So I'm a little concerned if Rogel Dorn comes back, that he'd be displeased with, how prevalent the Templars have gotten. But at the same time, Dorn may, because he was basically the leader of the first Crusades across the universe, that he may come back and be like, oh no, we are going to crusade like we've never crusaded before, and the Templars will lead that charge. Which would be very cool, lore-wise, if that happened. But sometimes these contrast paints take a little bit longer to dry than I would like, but they do give kind of a neat effect. It's not a single solid color over the white. Which makes it look like there's something actually moving through these tubes. I think that's pretty well got it. And I am curious to see what one color will come out like. And if I have to paint over it, I have to paint over it. That's just how it is. But I've got some Cassandora yellow. It's supposed to be really good for flames. But I'm going to try and put some on this light over here before painting the basket over the light, and see if I can't get a nice bright yellow. One of these days I'll do like more in-depth painting and figure out how to do object source lighting and stuff like that, but not quite there yet. Alright, so this Cassandora yellow looks very orange in the paint pot. But on the Mini, it should look more yellow. As it dries. And give a cleaner, brighter yellow than like the standard Flash Gets yellow, which I've used on other lights on other minis. I think that works. And it doesn't take a whole lot with your contrast paints. You know, just a little dab here, a little dab there, especially over a bright white color. Works very well. Thank you, Abel. Sometimes I get lucky and things work out the way I want them to. But I always have fun painting minis. All right. Let us switch over to some metallics. And because I don't generally use a lot of metallics, I've picked up some airbrush lead belcher from Citadel. You don't have to thin this stuff and you can paint straight out of the pot with it. It's amazing. I love it. I wish I'd known about it a lot sooner than when I found it in the game store. Or at Games Workshop, I guess I should say, because I actually got it from a Games Workshop. Okay, come on, steady hands. Work with me here, please. Try and get this basket painted over the light. Get that cleaned up looking. I'm sorry I get quiet when I'm doing super fine detail work, because I have to concentrate. And apparently when I'm painting super fine details, I cannot talk and paint at the same time. That is one of the things I've discovered through this painting streaming journey thing. But I still enjoy it. And hopefully I'm not getting my forehead into the shot over the Mini like I usually do. So people can see exactly what I'm working on. And of course, they got some of this stuff tucked in so tight around other parts of the Mini. It's very hard to get to all of it. I think we got that light pretty good. So on the ribbed cables, I'm going with the lead belcher silver color, and I will carefully do an Agrex Earthshade, or not Agrex, Nuln Oil wash over those. Also trying to be very careful that I don't inadvertently fill in fine details with the paint. I said, sorry, I'm not being very entertaining right now because it's like you have these teeny tiny little cables running into the side of the sarcophagus that I only want to get the paint on them, nothing else. But I think we're doing pretty good so far. I understand painting was, well, Lord, discordant. I wish I knew my minis better. It's Emperor's Children, I believe. One of the new ones that just got released. I think. Chaos Space Marines. I know the mini of the month for this month was Emperor's Children Tormentors. So the missus and I went down to Games Workshop and picked up our minis of the month. Or I pick up mine and my wife picks up an extra one for me because she loves me. And I appreciate it. Because one of these days I'm actually going to get around to painting them, particularly when I get to a point where it's like, okay, I've painted way too many Templars. I need a bit of a break and I need to experiment with something else, try out a different painting style. So I try and get the mini of the month every month at Games Workshop. I've been somewhat successful at that. I got a little frustrated when I first found out about it because it was like a Chaos Night was the mini last October, I believe it was, and I didn't realize it was on the first Saturday, and by the time I got down there they were all gone. Can't die till I paint all my minis, so that makes me immortal. I would like to think that, but the rate at which I paint my minis, I'll be lucky if I actually get to play a game with these guys before 12th edition comes out. Oh, sorry, TikTok. It's like I'm actively doing something on screen on TikTok, and it's like, nope, the creator went away. We don't know what happened, so we're gonna pause the TikTok live. So obnoxious. I like TikTok as a platform. It keeps me entertained for probably far longer than I should be scrolling through my phone, looking at stupid things, trying to get that dopamine rush. But I do enjoy me some TikTok, which is why I post content over here. But getting there, getting some progress done. Oh, so many tiny details on this guy. Thank you for the likes, Blake Kierstedt. Much appreciated. I do my best to try and recognize people that contribute to the stream. And every like is a contribution and greatly appreciated. Welcome in to everybody that's hopping in to watch me paint teeny tiny details on little pieces of plastic. And no, there is no rhyme or reason to how I'm currently painting this. I'm just going with whatever strikes my fancy at the time. Thank you for the follow, Hunter Blackman. Much appreciated. Always appreciate new followers on TikTok. Abel the Servant, thank you for the follow. I saw a hot dog painter in here. I thought I did. If you are in here, hot dog, how are you doing? Not much. Slaving away at the Dreadnought again before I have to take a break from it next week, because I will be painting in a mini painting contest at a local game store. Every time they have a take-home painting contest, I sign up because it's in the next town over, or I guess a couple towns over, so it takes a while to drive up there to go get the mini. What's your favorite chapter or faction? Don't mind me asking. P.S. New to Warhammer. It all depends. Like, if you like a super fun, ridiculous faction, orcs are amazing. I love orc lore. They're hilarious. If they were smart, they'd actually be dangerous. As for like Space Marine legions, obviously I think Black Templars have the absolute best looking minis, and I don't care how many blueberries feelings I hurt by saying that. Black Templar minis are just better than everybody else's. Necrons have a lot of really interesting lore. They have another hilarious character, Trazen the Infinite, who is like the universe klepto. Like, he just runs around the galaxy or whatever, taking people's relics and artifacts because he doesn't think they're worthy enough to maintain them and they should be saved for posterity. So reading about Trazen the Infinite is so much fun. If you're really looking to get into Warhammer lore, there's tons of YouTube channels out there, but there's one in particular that I recommend every single time because he has the most amazing voice for narrating 40k, and that is Baldemort on YouTube. Baldemort makes awesome videos. Agreed, I've been slowly studying Warhammer. Favorite chapter is Black Templars. So, just the fact that they're like, hey, robot girly butt, your rule book is stupid, so we're going to do our own thing. Black Templars, go. Hey, Complicated Gaming. Just trying to get some more work done on the Dreadnought, because next week I will be painting a mini for a painting contest at a local game store. Pictures in the Discord. Yeah, you did. It was another one of your Sailor Moon sisters. I did check it out late one night. It was, super late the other night, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but I had to go to sleep. I had some wife aggro, so needed to go to bed so I could get up and go to work early the next day. Just finished. Sorry, I'm hopping back and forth between Twitch and TikTok chat. How long have you been doing Warhammer stuff, if you don't mind me asking? I played a Necron army in 5th edition, and at that time the model line was very limited. So that was around 12, 13, maybe up to 15 years ago. And I keep saying this, and if Complicated Gaming can vouch for it over on Twitch, I keep saying, oh, I'm going to take pictures of my Necrons and post them, and I never do. Yeah, right after I quit playing is when the Necrons got their model refresh. Hey, Conselo, how's it going? Thank you for stopping in, as if you didn't spend enough time with me today. Consuelo on Twitch is a new driver that I'm training at work. He's doing very, very well. I appreciate all your hard work. Makes the day run smoother. But I hope you're ready for tomorrow. You'll be driving. It's my turn to be a passenger princess. Alright, I think that's it for the silver in here for now. Let's do some more interesting stuff. Just finish your Brutalis Emperor's Champions next. I've got so many to choose from. I've got Emperor's Champion sitting on the shelf behind me in a box. I've got Helbrecht sitting on the shelf in a box, Grimaldus, a unit of Sword Brothers, so many minis that I still have to paint. You going brown or gray for the stone on your contest bust? I don't know yet. For the contest painting, they just show you what the mini is, and then when you pick it up from the store that day, they tell you what the theme is. So the last contest mini I did was this little owlbear guy. It was like when I picked him up, they're like, okay, the theme for the mini is pastels. So I had to buy a bunch of pastel paints, and figure out how to make a pastel painted mini when basically all I own is paints for Black Templars. And of course my wife did that one with me. This is hers. She got third place in the beginner division. I didn't place in intermediate. I was so disappointed. I was like, I think my little guy looks great. But it makes me take a break from the army painting for a little while, and gets me out of my comfort zone working on different mini with different colors and different techniques. So I really like participating in the mini contests. So some of the other things I thought of, it could be lava, it could be ice, it could be stone, it could be mud. You don't know, because I thought, while I do not have the skill at all to do this, the one arm that's encased in stone, like if you made it look like it was encased in ice and then somehow was able to paint the like actual outline of the human arm underneath the big stone and have it all look like ice, I think would look super badass. But like I said, that is beyond my ability to paint at this point. But I will give it a try, and then I'll soak it in alcohol, rinse all the paint off, and then paint it something boring. Maybe, I don't know. But if you're on TikTok and you're wondering what I'm talking about, if you're watching in like the full screen mode, at the bottom of the screen, my Twitch channel is scrolling across the bottom. So if you go over to my Twitch page, twitch.tv/Dune_Gunner, on the about page, there's a little banner that says Discord. If you click on that banner that says Discord, it's actually a permanent Discord link that will take you over to my Discord server, where I post finished minis that I've done, minis that I'm working on, progress pictures, other viewers like Complicated Gaming, who's on Twitch right now watching, post projects that he's gotten done, and we all look at each other's stuff and go, oh hey, that's really cool. One of these days, and Complicated Games probably tired of hearing me say this, one of these days I'm going to set up a stream, get everything set up to where we can go through and look at what everybody's projects that they've been working on. So if I went live on Wednesdays, I'd like other creators, I'd do like a work in progress Wednesday. But Wednesdays are the agreed upon wifey time, so I spend time with the missus on Wednesdays. Because happy spouse, happy house. Alright, let's make this thing a little more interesting. Just doing like all the super basic colors. So let's add a little flair. And do some Balthazar gold. just along this front edge of the sarcophagus. Trying to keep clean lines on here. I mean, there is already a seam right there, so that helps make it stand out a little bit. Don't have to get the paint on there perfect, because it kind of gives it a little bit of a weathered effect. If you get a little bit thicker in some places, a little bit thinner in others, kind of makes it look weathered and old and scraped up. Not that I do a lot of weathering on my minis, but I do really like this Balthazar gold color. I use it on all of my Templars, on their chest emblems, which is why it's going on the sarcophagus of the Brutalis. What do you hope the new model is released when the new Templar Codex comes out? I want Templar specific Terminators. I want them to have cool helmets, because I think the standard Terminator helmet looks like a mole's face, like the little critters that dig around in the dirt. So I want like a cool, not quite Grey Knight, but like Crusader style helm, something like that, just for the Black Templars. So that's what I'm hoping for, is Templar specific Terminators. That is my wish, Games Workshop. Please make it happen. I'm glad the paint sticks to these enough that, like, as I'm touching it, it's only like the very edge of the paint that rubs off. I should be wearing gloves when I do this, but I never do. So the oils in my skin don't wipe my paint off. But it'll be alright. Because, like, if it only comes off, like, right at the hard edges, I have to go back and do edge highlighting anyway. So it just kind of, that issue fixes itself as I'm painting. I have a feeling the community feels the same. I hope they give them to us. I hope so. So much. Templars need cool Terminators. I've heard a lot of speculation that it's going to be like a special chaplain in Terminator armor, or Marshal in Terminator armor. But I hope it's not like a specific unit. I just want generic Terminators specifically for Black Templars. I mean, I know we already have the Sword Brothers, but they're just specialized Space Marines. They're not in Terminator armor, they're not in Gravis armor, or whatever you want to call it. Or maybe some neophytes in like some sort of Phobos armor. Get some like Vanguard. I mean, I know I could just buy some Vanguards and paint them up like Black Templars. But I do like faction-specific minis. I think it just adds, flavor to the minis. But yes, 100% hoping for Black Templar Terminators. Let's see, 8:30. Wow, it's already been an hour and a half since I started streaming. That's crazy, bro. Time flies when you're having fun. And I think this thing is turning out pretty close to how it was looking in my head. So I'm very happy so far. But I do have a long ways to go. And I knew the sarcophagus section was going to take me a while. Because of how much detail is on it. I mean, especially like right here on the lid where your Space Marine brother will be housed or interred. Yeah, it's very much coming out exactly how I was picturing it in my head and hoping it would. Hello from the UK, Smithy. Hello, how are you doing? I am nearby the opposite of KU, Kansas University. Unless you're talking about the University of Kentucky. But if it is the UK, man, it is like super late or super early over there. You're 6 hours ahead of me, so is 8 plus 6. I can't do math. 2 in the morning. 2 or 3 in the morning. I am doing all right. I am unwinding and relaxing after a very long day at work, nearly 2:30. I was getting close. My math sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. Oh, there's so many rivets on this front plate. That is going to take some effort. Well, I appreciate all my overseas late night watchers or early morning, depending on what is going on in their day. If you're one of those unfortunate folks who has to work graveyard shifts, I hope I can keep you entertained, at least for a little while, to help you make it through your long day at work. And if you're just... Yes, it is a Templar Brutalis. I have the box art picture up so people know what I'm working on. But I am building a Templar army because Space Marine 2 is an incredible video game that is way too much fun to play and sucked me back into painting tabletop minis. And I don't regret it because these things are turning out awesome. And I am a massive nerd, so I'm having way too much fun with it. Although unfortunately next week, and maybe fortunately, I'll be taking a break from the Black Templars. A local game store is doing a painting contest, and so I'll be painting a very different mini next week. But we will be getting back to the Templars after the week off for the painting contest, because I want this army finished and on the tabletop at some point. Yeah, Space Marine 2 is such a good game. And like for me, I wasn't I've been out of the hobby for quite a while. I played during 5th edition, so when I saw, they made a Space Marine 2 video game, I didn't even know there was a Space Marine 1. Uh, Probably instantly bought it because it looked really cool, and have been officially sucked back into the wargaming hobby because of a video game. And I don't regret it at all. No regrets. Oh, but there's so much fine detail. Like, I love the Primaris size minis, but man, they like seriously up the level of detail that I have to paint. I don't regret it. I think they look incredible. But these things just take a little bit longer. And if you give me just a moment, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say Primaris, I will show you the difference between a Firstborn and a Primaris mini when I finish this little squiggly line of detail. So you have your Primaris size Marines, and then you have your Firstborn. So you can see there's definitely a bit of a height difference and way more of a detail difference. Let's see. If I buy Space Marine 2, will I get it without knowing lore of the game or not playing first one? No, it is entirely its own story that it loosely ties back to Space Marine 1, but it's, completely its own story. So you don't have to worry about not knowing anything at all about Space Marine lore or what happened in the first Space Marine video game. They did a good job of making it its own individual thing. And if you do get it, learn where your parry button is and get used to pushing it a lot. Okay. Getting lots of work done tonight. Space Marines 2 is good. Massive difference. Yeah. But no, there's no need to know any of the existing lore. But it is a good gateway to learning about the lore of Warhammer 40k. Because, like, what are you talking about, Primaris? What are you talking about crossing the Rubicon? What's a Space Marine? What are Tyranids? Who are the Thousand Suns? What are Rubric Marines? It just, full on throws you in there, says, here you go. Have some interesting little tidbits here and there, and will entice you to learn more about it. And of course, I close up that pot of paint when I still need it. I have all of these cable collars along the sides of the sarcophagus that need their paint. And there's a little bit of lore that you can learn just from playing Space Marine 2, because it has all the different, or a lot of the different factions of Space Marines as armor customization. So you just you learn as you go with it. And it is so much fun. We're definitely making very good progress on our mini tonight. And unfortunately, some of those I cannot get into. They are definitely wedged down in there. I don't know how many of those are going to survive the wash stage. I get around to doing some washing or washes to add detail. And again, I'm sorry, I'm like doing some super fine detail stuff right here, so I get a little quiet when I'm doing that. Because it requires the utmost concentration. Just hope you can actually see what I'm doing on camera. But there we are so far. Looking pretty good to me. Oh, stupid bot. Goodbye, stupid bot. I hate bots on Twitch. They're so obnoxious and unnecessary. Leave me alone. I'm not paying for viewership. Get a life. Okay. Now that is done. And do this little scroll on the front of the sarcophagus. And we're going to start with a little bit of Ubshati bone. I know a lot of this makes absolutely no sense to people who have never watched this before. Because we're using a very, very tiny amount, and this is some airbrush paint. Very carefully paint along this scroll here. Lots of little fine details on this. I said sorry when I'm doing something this teeny tiny delicate. It requires all of the concentration. Hello, puppy. Oh, tell me all about it. Okay, so we've got our first layer of effort done on here. Now it is time to very carefully do some very specific washes in very specific places. So first, because it's sitting right beside me and I know exactly where it's at, we'll grab some of our Nuln oil. And along these little tubes here, try and get some detail back on the little ridges. Add little dabs of Nuln oil. Darken up the little recesses here and there. And along the edges of our brightly colored tubing. Just to get that color back to where it needs to be. Yes, sweetheart, I hear you. Please do not bump me when I'm doing delicate work, puppy puppy. Mm-hmm. Put a little bit on these little silver bits off to the side. And across the bottom here. So now you can see the little ridges in the tubing a little bit better. Makes them look very, very nice. Learn how to use washes. Buy them. They are an incredible asset for painting miniatures. Okay, so we'll rinse out our brush and we will trade our Nuln oil for our Agrax Earthshade. And everywhere that we've got our Balthazar gold on the mini, you add a little bit of Agrax Earthshade. Grunge them up a little bit. Especially on the centerpiece on the chest. So you're just doing Agrax on one side, you can see all the little fine details pop out a lot better. And then on the scroll here, to kind of dirty it up a little bit. Add some depth and detail to it. And all along the front edges. A little visor port here. I hear you, sweetheart. there we go. This front edge of the sarcophagus. Being very careful not to stick our fingers in it while it's trying to dry. There, now you can see like all the cool little fine little details in the corrugated hosing, the extra little details in the crest on the center. I mean, just a little bit of washes. Little Nuln Oil, little Agrax Earthshade just does so much for the Mini. And so we'll have to wait for that to dry a little bit before we can do anything else, because that's just how it works. But yeah, since I'm going to be taking a short painting break while all of that has a chance to dry, is there anything anybody wants to ask about? Questions on painting or lore, or what I like to do with my spare time playing video games, what games I play? I'll open up the Ask Me Anything section. I see you, puppy. You're a very good puppy. Am I gonna try that new Doom? Yes, because it is on Game Pass and it is free for me to play. Absolutely. Am I a huge Doom fan? Not necessarily, but I like first-person shooters, and it is one of the original first-person shooters. You're playing on Nightmare? Is it already out? Or I thought it was just in pre-release. It's no Eternal, but it's solid. I've seen like the medieval aesthetic to it, and I was like, okay, that looks cool. So I definitely need to try it. Out last night at like 9. See, figures. Yeah, I've been so focused on work and painting miniatures and getting ready for trying to figure out how I'm going to paint that bust for the mini contest next week. I'm just like, don't have any mental capacity for anything else. But so I can get a good view of the front of the sarcophagus again. See, it's hard on vertical, like this is the best spot, but on horizontal, on TikTok and Twitch and YouTube, that's probably the best view you can get of it. That looks so cool. I love it when a plan comes together. I'm super happy with how this is turning out. I hope it makes someone jealous. I'm still seeing a couple of wet spots, so I'll give it a little more time. But just out of curiosity, let's pop this in. And see, even all closed up with the cover on it. That's looking so good. I'm so happy with that. Although I don't like how that's going to scrape paint off. But it's fine. It is a very, very cool mini. Okay, so that does have a raised edge, so I can do that in silver or bronze. I'll probably do that in silver. On this top crenellated piece, I'll probably do that in silver with the wings and the skull and the bronze. I think it's gonna look good. I think it already looks good, and there's so much of this I'm just kind of making it up on the fly as I paint the mini, and am very happy with the results so far. Although at some point I will paint down in here and I'll paint the top cover, so when I'm painting like the rest of the back of this and everything, I'll have the front of it closed up so I can't touch it. But now that that's been given a chance to dry, we'll go back to our next round of metallics if I can find the paint that I'm looking for. And we'll do 80 bajillion little teeny tiny dots with Sycorax Bronze, which is the highlight color I use over the Balthazar Gold to give it a little more shine and depth. Again, need to thoroughly shake your paints. And I don't know, maybe I should start using Army Painter paints or a different Vallejo or something. I'm just so used to the Citadel paints and working with them, even with their often frustrating texture at times. Yeah, just hitting the tops of all these rivets with a little dab of Sycorax Bronze to make them a little shinier. Do you have any tips to? And the only thing that I've used cork on the base of this mini only, so I'm not sure. Thanks, Reaver. I'm really happy with how it's turning out so far. I mean, maybe once you've gotten the cork in the shape that you want it, try spraying it with like some clear acrylic or like a clear coat. You know, something like this. You know, just some crystal clear spray paint, not necessarily gloss if you don't want to, and that might help it stick together a little bit better. Like when I'm basing my minis, I use the flocking. I'll get like the first layer of flocking on, and then I will clear coat it to help the rest of the flocking stick to it. Cork might do the same thing. Like I said, unfortunately, this is the first mini I've tried the flocking on. Or not the flocking, but the cork on. Of course, the other thing I did was I added texture paint. So the texture paint might help it hold together a little bit better. And then, of course, after I put the texture paint, I did prime it. So maybe the primer might help hold things a little bit better. But it's one of those things that's very much in the unknown realm for me on everything about cork, just due to lack of experience with using it. So like varnish and wood glue are recommended. Yeah, I didn't think of wood. Like, you could thin down some wood glue and paint over it. I mean, even thicker wood glue might help hold stuff in place. But basically, that's what the AK texture I used is. It's basically like Elmer's glue. So, with sand in it. So, I mean, that probably helped it hold to the base a little bit better. But yeah, this is a creativity journey that I am on as well. So I do not have all the answers, but I can share my experience and what I've done. And hopefully it will benefit others. Oh, that was a huge blob. But see, that's one of those things. I know I just put a huge blob of paint on the Mini somewhere where I didn't want it, and nobody's gonna know about it unless I sit there and like majorly point it out. And nobody's gonna care that I did it either. Got a little weathering and shininess around the edge. We're gonna try and hit the edges of these wings. So the final shape with Daniel Pass and PSN now 70% discount for $15. Maybe others have the discount too. Might have to check it out. I say if I ever get time to actually play other video games again. These miniatures painting absorbs so much of my time right now. Like I said, next week I'll be doing that contest, so I'll have even less time for video games. There we go. Got lots of highlight done on the wings. A little bit more over here. Yeah. Definitely gives it that rough brushed look. And I have not been putting my paints back where they belong all night, so everything is a mess right now. I need a day to like thoroughly go through and clean my office because it has become an absolute disaster area right now. We're going to go in and do some little highlights with some Stormhost Silver. As my paint looks very wonky right now. It's one of those things, it's like, you know, a couple of itty bitty spots of paint here and there just makes so much of a difference. And again, you'll have to excuse me for temporarily getting a little quiet while I do some fine detail work. Try to catch a edge here and edge there. You know, all highlighted up on some silver spots here and there. And grab the bottom ring of this big red dot right there. Come on, focus. Definitely getting there. All right. Now I'm gonna have to whip out the old fancy brush for a minute. Shame I'm gonna cover 70% of it. I mean, this piece moves, so even though it closes, it will still open again. So you can have it closed lid or open lid, so you'll still be able to see all the cool stuff. At least that's what I keep telling myself in my head. Okay, for this, I had to get out the super fancy fine detail brush. And I need a little bit of my Screaming Skull out onto the wet palette. That is probably more than enough. Oh, so it's like a giant baby in a diaper. No, that is the Grey Knights. They have the baby carrier. This is a Dreadnought of the Brutalis variety. Templars do not have any baby carriers. And I still call the Invictus Warsuit a baby carrier. It's the same thing. You cannot convince me otherwise. It is still a baby carrier. It's just not specifically for Grey Knights. I'm just trying to catch these fine edges. brighten them up, make them look more parchment-like. To me, it is so cool how, like, a couple of super fine little details just change how the model looks so quickly. That scroll looks nice. Now I'm going to give that some time to dry before, and like fully cure up before trying to write anything on there. I haven't decided what I'm going to try and put on there, or if I should try and do like a water transfer or something. But definitely pleased with the results so far. I'm going to have a very, very happy Tickle Time Dreadnought. Okay. Sorry, my mouth is getting dry. But I think that's pretty much how I had this thing looking in my head when I decided I was gonna like do everything on it. So that is the sarcophagus done, and now I just have 80 bajillion things around it that I have to paint. So to start, make sure that is thoroughly rinsed off, because that is my very nice brush. I'm going. You can have more than one hex mark destroyer in an army. Hex mark, is that a Necron thing? I'm not sure. I'm so far out of the loop on what is what with Warhammer anymore. It's a little embarrassing. Yeah, it's Necrons. Yeah, like basically anything with hex, I'm like pretty sure that's a Necron thing. Okay. Let's get some rough-in work done on some bits around the mini. I'll take a little bit of our lead belcher. Make sure we get in these bristles real good to do some dry brushing. Start getting the edge of this turret piece. For the little melta gun to go in. Try not to get too crazy with it because I don't want to have to do a ton of touch-up work. But I do thoroughly enjoy dry brushing with lead belcher because you get that nice kind of grainy metal look. I think it always looks really good. Like I said, try not to get too crazy with it so I don't have to repaint a bunch of the mini in these areas. I got our little smokestacks up here. Kind of a little combination of stippling and dry brushing. Like side by side. I say dry brushing is probably one of my favorite techniques that I learned how to do decently. And it's one of the most simple techniques you can learn. Just get some paint on your brush, wipe most of the paint off, go to town. See, then they just make such a cool metal effect. Works so good. And it takes so little effort. I have so much left to do on this. Just this one piece. So much painting to do. Okay, I lost my brush. There it is. I put it back in the wrong spot in my brush holder. You gotta love when you do that. Make sure you keep a little bit of water in your brush when you're doing metallics, just to help the paint continue to flow off. Hi, honey.
Looks good.
Hmm?
Ooh, that does look good.
It's been working out for me.
Is that the one you spray painted?
Little bits of it. I'd
Where's
mostly base coated this with a brush, but it was having trouble getting to some of like the finer details tucked in there. So using the airbrush helped me finish base coating it.
Cool. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I'm gonna take the puppies upstairs. They're not bumping into you.
Okie dokie.
Come on, baby.
I will say we have definitely made some very good progress on our Brutalis Dreadnought tonight. It's all looking very, very fancy. Like I said, over the next week I'll be painting a completely different miniature, but we will come back to the Brutalis Dreadnought. That is looking very nice. There's so many teeny tiny fine details on here. I love it. It's amazing. Give me more paint. I love how I go in here and paint all these teeny tiny little details that no one is gonna see if they never pick up the model. And if you try and pick up my minis without my permission, I'm probably gonna have to smack you. But definitely getting the work done with the desired results. I suppose that's one, like I said before, one of the other reasons I really like painting these things on stream and having them primed or based in the Abaddon black, and they're primed in gray, but based in Abaddon black, because as I paint it, more and more detail starts to show, like revealing all of the little intricate parts of the Mini. I think it's so neat for folks watching, and for me, like when I get a chance, like if I go back and look at my streams, because I record all these videos, and go back and look, and I can see what I'm doing on camera, and seeing like all the extra little details and everything popping out on the model. I think it's so neat. Oh, please tell me that white paint is still usable. Because there are some details and whatnot that are going to happen back here. I'm trying to get a specific result. And we shall see how that works out. The very meticulous painting that I'm doing. And of course, my big fat head's in the way again. If I do that, type in chat, say, "Hey dummy, move, I can't see." Like, I want to know what's going on too. But your big old fat head keeps getting in the way. What is it, puppy? I hear you. Taper down the tip of the brush. Get in here real good with this bright white paint. Nezuko, you are fine. And if you watched what I did on the legs, you know what's about to happen up here. I have a very sad puppy behind me. Yes, sweetheart. Did you close the door and get yourself stuck in here? Is that what the problem is? Give me a moment to finish these last couple of vents. and we will aid the puppy. Because the missus said she was taking the puppies upstairs. So, I'm assuming she wants the puppies upstairs. I have witnesses on stream. That's what she said. Okay. Dum Dum is not painting on screen again. We're just trying to make sure we got a good base of white in there for our contrast paint to sit on to try and bring out a little bit of a powered up glow effect. Okay, and I need to find a pot of Abaddon Black in. Hopefully one that is open already. Here we go. Because I've been going through much Abaddon Black. So, and I just emptied a pot into a mixing container for the airbrush. So I have some airbrush thinned black paint. I don't know if that's really going to work for what I need it to right here. Do a little bit of touch up real quick, cleaning up the edges of these vents. To keep the glow contained inside. And I'll have to do touch up here and there all over the model. But for now, that's what we got going. And yes, I'm just kind of making all this up as I go along. Let's see. Got another quick rinse. And let's grab our brush for contrasts and washes. And our Frost Heart, because that's what I've been using for this particular effect. And everywhere that we just dabbed our white on, we're powering up the dreadnought. Making sure we get a good amount in there, not necessarily completely flooding it too bad. But we want the blue in there. And like I said, one of these days, if I ever learn how to do object source lighting, this would be a perfect place to do some of that. Making sure we get all those little spots. We want it to look like it's powered up and glowing blue. Oh, TikTok, you obnoxious thing. Oh, I thought TikTok was pausing. It was just disconnecting. Which is still obnoxious. There we go. I think that's got that effect taken care of. All right. Well, here's the back of it so far. I think that's kind of where we're at. Of course, our sarcophagus progress. Let me go grab the legs real quick. And so we can take a little look at how things are coming together. I'm thinking that's looking pretty epic. And continued the glowing venting up the back of the dreadnought. Oh, this thing's gonna be so badass when it's done. Yep. Alright, folks, I think I'm going to call it there for the night. I hope to catch you guys next time I'm live. Although, be aware, next time I'm live, we're not going to be working on the dreadnought. We will be working on a mini from a local game store, doing a painting contest. It is a... have a good night, Cancelo. I will see you at work tomorrow. is a bust of where like a guy, one of this guy's arms is turning into rock or stone or maybe a big block of ice. I don't know yet because it will have a theme that we won't find out until we pick up the mini. I go pick up the mini on Saturday, or not Saturday, Sunday, and that is the start of the painting competition. Would you quit? TikTok is being obnoxious because apparently I've been live too long or something. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching. Our typical schedule is Monday nights from 7:30 to 10 p.m. Dungeons and Dragons. Tuesdays and Thursdays is when we do our hobby stuff, whether it's painting miniatures or potentially playing video games or any other number of fun hobby type things. We will be getting back to all of that, like I said, next Tuesday and Thursday, and maybe if I have some extra time in between, we'll be working on that contest mini. But we'll definitely see you next time. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for stopping by. And we hope to catch you next time we go live.